Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I welcome you all to the third extraordinary meeting of the RJMEC. As you are all aware, that 8th regular plenary meeting was scheduled for 26 September 2024. However, as provided for under Article 7.1.2 of the agreement, RJMEC may convene extraordinary meeting as deemed necessary. This meeting is being convened at the request of the RTGNU for RJMEC members to consider the decision of the parties to the RACRIS to extend the transition period of the Bilateral Peace Agreement for 24 months from 22nd February 2025 to 22nd February 2027. Allow me to provide some context regarding the RJMEC's role in this regard. Under Article 7.6 of the RACRIS, RJMEC is responsible for monitoring and overseeing the implementation of the agreement and the mandates and tasks of the RTGNU, including adherence of the parties to the agreed timelines and implementation schedule. Under Article 8.4 of the RACRIS, the revitalized agreement may be amended by the parties with at least 2/3 of the members of the Council of Ministers of the RTGNU and at least 2/3 of the voting members of the RJMEC consenting to the amendment, followed by ratification by the Transitional National Legislature. The first extraordinary meeting of RJMEC was held almost 6 years ago, on 19th of February 2019, to consider the budget of the National Pre-Transition Committee, NPTC. The second extraordinary meeting was held on the 1st of September 2022, during which the members consented to the roadmap, which extended the transition period of the Revitalized Peace Agreement by 2 years to February 2025. Over the last 19 months of the implementation of the tasks provided for under the roadmap, some progress has been registered, particularly under Chapter 1, the reconstitution and operationalization of the critical election-related institutions, namely the Political Parties Council, the National Election Commission, completion of the review and amendment of the remaining laws by the National Constitutional Amendment Committee, the registration of new political parties, completion by the Ad hoc Judicial Reforms Committee of its work, and enactment by the Transitional National Legislative Assembly, TNLA, of several revised laws. Under Chapter 2, the completion of Phase 1 graduation of 55,000 necessary unit forces, the deployment of 8 battalions of the Army component of the NUF, as well as the appointment of 2,995 non-commissioned police officers into the South Sudan National Police Service, and the completion of the Strategic Defense and Security Review draft policy documents. Under Chapter 3, the revised NGO Act Amendment Bill was endorsed by the RTGNU Council of Ministers and submitted to the TNLA, and a consolidated and durable solutions framework for supporting the dignified return and reintegration of IDPs and refugees was approved by the Council of Ministers. Under Chapter 4, reforms are ongoing in the Resource, Economic, and Public Finance Management, and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Authority has been created and is functional as required by the agreement. Several bills have been passed by the TNLA, including the Public Financial Management and Accountability Act, Corruption and Anti-Corruption Act, the Bank of South Sudan and the Banking Act, and in addition, the bill for the Fiscal Financial Allocation Monitoring Committee, which is to ensure transparency of allocations of national revenue to the states and counties, has been approved by the Council of Ministers and now awaits tabling before the TNLA. Under Chapter 5, on transition justice and accountability, the Ministry of Justice undertook and completed a countrywide consultation which resulted in the drafting and enactment of the bills for the establishment of the Commission for Truth, Reconciliation and Healing and Compensation and Reparation Authority by the TNLA, which are now await assent by the President. Under Chapter 6, the law for the making of the permanent constitution was enacted, and the National Constitutional Review Commission, NCRC, was reconstituted and has commenced its work. The Commission has since held several orientation and training workshops and developed and adopted all its internal governing instruments. However, despite the aforementioned progress, some very critical tasks remain pending. These include enactment of the petroleum-related bills, the audit chamber and the NGO bills, the finalization and implementation of the Judicial Reforms Commission reports, the completion of Phase 1 and commencement of Phase 2 unification of forces, and the Strategic Defense and Security Review and Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration DDR processes, establishment and operationalization of the Commission for Truth, Reconciliation and Healing and Compensation and Reparation Authority, the making of the permanent constitution, and ensuring sufficient preparation for the conduct of elections. As RJMEC, we have repeatedly expressed our concerns over the slow pace and limited progress in completing the critical requirements for elections and the lack of sufficient funding for the implementation of the agreement. In March this year, we requested the parties to RJMEC to dialogue on the way forward to ensure the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections in a timely manner as per the roadmap. But despite all the pressure put, the response has been slow to come out in an appropriate time frame. However, today, the RTGNU will shortly brief you on the process and outcome of the inter-party dialogue and the decisions that have been made by the parties as a way forward for elections. As RJMEC, our primary concern has been the lack of dedicated and predictable funding in this peace process. Therefore, any extension without guaranteed funding is not likely to result in a successful outcome. I therefore call upon the RTGNU to demonstrate to RJMEC members how funding in particular and the other recurrent challenges that have held back the implementation of the RRCs in the past will be remedied to ensure that the critical pending tasks will be completed and elections held as promised. I therefore invite all of you RJMEC voting members, pursuant to Article 8.4 of the RRCs, to deliberate and pronounce yourselves on the party's decision, which calls for the amendment of Article 1.1.2 or the Revised Agreement to further extend the transition period from 22nd February 2025 to 22nd February 2027. I wish you fruitful deliberations. I thank you.